Hello, everyone. This is QuantumJoker and Victor here to review for you District 9.
Yep. Now, overall, I should say that this was a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost undeniably so in terms of its artistic merits and story concepts. But there were issues to talk about. What do you think?
Well, for one, first of all, I'd like to address or provide a rebuttal of sorts to Spoonie's review of District 9. I'm not sure if you saw that, but he remarked that the apartheid metaphor was quite thin in this movie. But I would have to disagree. The prawns that we see within District 9 being persecuted by the South African people and exploited by the military, they are sufficiently different from humans, and also they are being exploited for an agenda rather than just basic prejudice on the part of the humans. As such, well, this scenario is heavily informed by apartheid, but director Blomkamp still keeps it interesting. He still keeps it imaginative, I find. What do you think?
I wouldn't say it is a straight apartheid, or I don't think anyone would call it a straight apartheid metaphor, but I don't think it is meant to be taken like that. I mean, if it was, it wouldn't make sense. They really are trying to paint a realistic picture of this kind of interaction between aliens of this type. They're very specific in being in their odd depictions as not human in every way, emotionally or mentally. So yeah, I think they handled that all pretty darn well.
Oh yeah.
The one complaint I might have with the politics and all that is that perhaps the villains are a bit too overly evil. I mean, some of it's pretty. You can sort of believe that there'd be the illegal trading and all that stuff going on, and the brutality of some of those gangs is pretty well known. In reality, with people who would be harder to consider people, as in the aliens, you would expect a bit more brutality. I did like the depiction of the I don't have the names in my head, but the gang leader there. He was a bit over the top in how much he was trying to impose a sense of control. At the same time, I think that is probably what a real human being would be doing. No matter what starts happening, he try to maintain that sense of being in control of the situation. Where I thought it got a little cartoony. It starts with the hired gun, the mercenary, whoever that guy was.
Yes.
He was a bit over the top. Also, why the hell is that prick so indestructible? You send everything at him, and he still somehow manages to he has taken down by a crowd of creatures that are 3 times as strong as he is.
Yeah, I suppose this agent, he did strike me as a rather contrived villain.
Yeah.
I suppose Blomkamp suggests that it is enough to depict him as holding a rabid hatred of everything prawn-related. And I suppose that is appropriate within a film dealing in racism, but it did feel a little excessive.
Yeah, and I can agree with that, is that for the story's sake, it definitely worked. And it did allow them to have that action that really put the cherry on the sundae, so to speak.
Oh yes, and I suppose this villain, however unlikely he may have been, he did still succeed in compounding the urgency of the action scenes. You did fear him to a good extent, just as Wikus feared him for much of the movie.
Yeah.
So he was an effective villain.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and there was one thing that I thought seemed a bit almost B-movie-ish though.
Yes.
And that would be the big higher ups, the arms trading big business types. Mm-hmm. They were. I mean, there's Cold, where you're talking about a guy as you look at him through two-way mirror, one-way mirror, whatever that is.
Yep.
Through the glass. And then they're standing next to him as he's grasping at your arm and saying, well, we're going to dissect him parts, we're going to take his blood, his marrow, and we're going to turn his bones into novelty toothpicks. Type of evil that I thought they could have toned down a little bit.
Well, where are the human rights lawyers? Where's PETA? There was
the guy who looks vaguely uncomfortable.
Actually, I found those segments, the ones you branded as being reminiscent of a B movie, to be quite possibly the best parts of the movie. In that, well, Sharlto Copley, he did a consistently good job within this film. District 9 was his first acting role, but he's proven to be an excellent, very emotive character actor. But he shone within the weapons testing scenes. He conveyed strain, exhaustion, and an undiluted horror at what MNU was doing to had been doing to the prawns, and what they had in store for him, what they were pressuring him to do. I thought that was a terrific, tense and very mortifying scene. It was handled exceptionally well.
That part of it, that was the thing, is that with that character, you didn't know quite what to think of him. Through most of that movie, you weren't quite sure how to feel about him, because there he was as sensitive as anybody towards the prawn. He had a veneer of caring, but underneath he still didn't really consider them people.
Yeah.
But in that scene, that's where you saw that at least on some level on some pretty obvious level there, he recognized them as living beings, sentient beings, and did not want harm to come to them. He was, up to that point, they weren't his problem, and that was the whole thing, is that it's not my problem. It's kind of his motto through so much of the film, and I guess that's where it was really effective, and the actor was really effective.
Oh yeah,
is you saw that viewpoint evolve, not just from that. See, and again, with the B-movie thing, this could have worked as a B-movie. The concept, the basic storyline. It could have been Will Smith. Someone claiming that he has a prawn arm and going, oh, hell no! And going from there. Okay, now, visually, if I can veer off. Visually, the film, I had mixed feelings on. It started off with almost entirely archive footage, that kind of thing, which would make it a bit, like a documentary thing. But then you started getting those scenes that were taking place outside of the view of any camera. And for the transition, what they seemed to do most of the time, even though there was no camera, they were taking, it was a cameraman's view from it. It still had those angles and those movements that would be done by a camera, for the most part. And you don't notice it during it, and it's pretty easy not to notice it.
Yes.
It's fine. But at one point, I was taken out of the movie, I have to admit, when I realized that, wait a minute, is the cameraman still following him? He's the most faithful cameraman I've ever seen.